Hi, it's Green Screen here today, and today I'm back with a speed build collaboration with the lovely Kay Stray. I'll put her details in the description box and also on the screen now. And she has, we both decided to do this collaboration, which is a bit of a fun challenge for both of us, which was base game plus your least favourite pack. Now, when I say least favourite pack, I don't mean that I don't like the pack, because I've chosen vampires and the base game obviously, but it's not that I don't like vampires. I do. I like the gameplay, I like having vampires in the game, stuff like that, that's fine. I mean, I don't play with them that often, but I like all that stuff. What it is mainly for me is that this is the pack that I use the least in the game. I don't use any of the items in the game really at all. They're just not my items, to be honest. They're just not my cup of tea. I guess my builds tend to be more like modern, and so they don't really fit in there. But lately, what I've been trying to do is try and use items from packs that I haven't been using. Just, I don't know, just to kind of get myself out of this little box of building that I'm in at the moment, and to make things a bit interesting. So we came up with this challenge. Kay's doing one on her channel as well, so again, I'll link her YouTube channel in the description and you can go and check hers out. She's done a very good job. She has chosen the base game plus the spooky pack, and one thing that she did say was that she now doesn't dislike that pack as much as she did before, but I'm sure she'll explain all that in her video, so head over there and watch that one. But yeah, basically mine is that I just didn't use any items from this pack. They didn't fit in with anything that I built. So after doing this challenge, I've actually got a new appreciation for this pack, because when I mentioned to Kay that vampires was my least favourite in terms of me not using it at all, she said that she uses the wallpapers quite a lot, and so obviously in this build I've used the wallpapers as well, and I do actually quite like them. Like, there are some nice ones, and I can see that you can probably get them to work quite well in all types of different builds, so I'm going to try that. Also, I'll just mention that I'm really obsessed with the terrain tools at the moment, because I've just pretty much learnt how to use them. So everything that I build recently uses the terrain tools in some way, and I liked the idea of this house just kind of being on a hill, like really far up. I imagine it's like quite windy up there, and that, you know, it looks kind of like daunting. You don't really want to go up there, so it's got a fence around it, and it's, yeah, I don't know, I have play tested it as well to make sure that the Sims can actually walk up that hill, and they can walk up, get up there fine, so that's alright. And I didn't want it to be, I made sure to use like sort of dull colours like you can see now. Like, I wanted it to look really like kind of old and weird, and like somewhere where you wouldn't really want to go, somewhere where a vampire would live basically. So I have actually created a sim that you can probably see back there, and he is a vampire. I haven't played with him or anything, but maybe he will pop up in a let's play one day. I don't know, I'm just enjoying creating new sims, and the whole idea of doing the collaborations and also other series that I'm doing on my channel, which is the A to Z build series. I have actually made up a graphic for it and it's my pinned tweet on my Twitter, which my Twitter is greenscreen02. I'll put that on the screen now as well. So you can go follow me there, and you can also take part in that challenge if you want. There's no deadline on it obviously, because it takes a while, but if you do that, anybody does decide to take part in that, please send me screenshots of the things that you've come up with, because it's really fun. And some of the letters that are in the alphabet, for example like Q and X and Z, they're all very difficult to like make anything from, so it's going to be quite interesting to see what I come up with, and also what other people to decide to come up with on those letters. But yeah, so I don't know, that's kind of helping to get me outside the box. So again, this one was a test of how well I could build. And yeah, this one is just a square. We both decided to just do a 1-bedroom, 1-bathroom house, nothing too fancy, like nothing too out there. on I think it's a 30 by 40 lot, so you know, it's quite small. It's, like I said, it's livable. It's probably nothing that you'd have a family living in because it's not very big, but I wouldn't say it was a family home. I would definitely say it's more of a single sim vampire type person. whatever you decide. Obviously there isn't much garden area because I've taken that up with this long winding path. So yeah, so I don't know, I just I did enjoy building this house because I don't know, it was just so different to anything that I have built before, and yeah, I don't usually go for just like square houses on top of hills, so I don't know, it's kind of different, but I didn't want it to look too like I don't know, it's square because a lot of older houses are square. I don't know. I don't know if that's right, but that's like kind of what I'm going for. Kind of wanted it to give the impression of like a terraced house, but obviously we can't really do that in the game, so this one's just on the top of a hill. But yeah, so I used the purple wallpaper downstairs, and I also, for the first time, I think I've used the vampire kitchen items as well, the cupboards and the ones up top, because again I don't really tend to use those. I've been using this fridge and this stove quite a lot as well actually. I don't tend to use those very often in the game, but I did a fairy cottage collaboration with Arrow Builds, and she built this really lovely like fairy style cottage, and I used those in that because it went really well with like the brick kind of cottagey style, so I've been using those a lot more. Again, I'm just using things that I've not used because I don't know if this is something that you tend to do as well in the game, but what I tend to do is I have like sort of 10 or so items that I always use every time, so I'm trying to kind of explore other items and stop myself from doing that, because you know, you do get a bit bored with the game when you start using the same things over and over again, and obviously with all the expansion packs and game packs and stuff that they've brought out, we have got a lot more in the game now than we did. So yeah, I don't know, it's kind of interesting to see what people have come up with as well and what they've done. And I haven't watched Kay's video just yet. I will be watching that after I've released this. It is actually going to be, it's out a lot later than I wanted it to be. I actually wanted to do the audio for this in the week, but I've been very busy with work, and when I've been getting home from work I've just been so tired that I just couldn't do the audio, because I knew that my voice would just sound so like uninterested, and yeah, so I was like, right, I'll do it on Friday night. And then last night I didn't end up doing it because we were just busy with people around and stuff like that, so obviously I can't do my audio while people are in the living room, because that's where I'm sat now, in the living room. And and so then basically the only time I had to do it was today, and I had a blood test this morning, and I'm fine with blood tests, they don't bother me at all, but she struggled to get any blood out of my arm. I've probably dried up, I don't know, maybe a vampire's been in the night, I don't know. So she had to try it 3 different times in 3 different parts of my arm, and stupid me was completely fine throughout all this, but I came home and I didn't eat anything or have anything to drink. I just went straight to bed, had a nap, woke up feeling awful. So I had to get my boyfriend to make me a quick cup of tea and a bacon and sausage sandwich, and now I'm fine. So I'm fine to do the audio, so that's what I'm doing right now. So yeah, so you didn't need to know that story, but I just felt like sharing that. But anyway, so yeah, so again, this living room, I wanted it to look kind of grand. I wanted it to look like, I don't know, when you say like a vampire house, I guess we all kind of have in a mind what a vampire house might look like, but do we really know? Do we really know where they would live? Because if I was a vampire, I'd probably live in something like super like modern, and you know, maybe like when I was back in the, I don't know, let's assume that I got turned into a vampire in like the Victorian times, maybe, you know, I would live in like a Victorian house. But I think if, you know, in 2019, I'd probably want something a little bit more modern. I want something with lots of, I don't know, synthetic lighting, because I guess you can't go out in the sun, and I wouldn't want big windows, but just something, you know, nice, maybe like over over a cliff, like kind of looking out with a good view or something. I don't know. Maybe that's just what I want to live in as a person that's not a vampire. Which, you know, I know you were all wondering if I was, but I'm not. So there you go. But anyway, I've used a lot of the spider webs and the cracks and stuff like that because I've never used these before. I just never have a reason to use them, so that was quite exciting to do those, although you can't really see them on the outside of the house, but yeah, they're there if you look very closely. They're there. So yeah, the only thing was that I kind of missed about this was that I love to do like decorations on the outside of houses, and I love to put loads of plants and make it all look really nice and do big gardens and lots of landscaping, but I just didn't. You can't do that with this, so I've had to use like all the dead plants, and I've had to use the cracks and stuff like that, so I guess it was kind of interesting. It's something different to what I'm used to doing. And also, one thing I meant to mention as well is that in one of my other videos, in fact it was the A to Z build challenge, I asked a question at the end which was what's your favourite colour, and if anybody replied, I would put it in my next build. Now the next build that I did was the cave build, and I completely forgot to use the colour. However, I remembered when I was doing this build, which was the next one after that. So the downstairs is purple, and that's because a girl called Ames Louise replied back and said that her favourite colour was purple. So if you're watching this right now, just know that the downstairs is dedicated to you and your answer to that question. But anyway, yeah, so I think we're getting towards the end of the build now, because it's a very small kind of lot, but I think it's quite cozy. I think it still looks like it's got a lot of space in there. Obviously I haven't put stuff like, I don't think I've put TV, I can't remember if I have. I haven't put anything like a desk or a computer or anything like that. I've decided to keep it quite I don't know, like hardly any technology, because in my head he just wouldn't use it, so I sort of made it. And obviously if he's got loads of cracks and stuff in the walls, he's not gonna be spending his money on computers, is he, and TVs. So yeah, and then the welcome wagon turned up and I couldn't get rid of that guy, so I just wanted to make sure that that coffin was actually usable as well, because I had put it kind of against the wall, so I wanted to just make sure he could use that. So yeah, anyway, like I said, everything is usable. This is completely playable. I even put a little bench out here, and you can get down there and everything. So yeah, I didn't want to put too much light on the outside either, but I also didn't want it to be completely dark when you to like go to night time, because I think what's his world called? Midnight Hollow? Oh, I can't remember what it's called, but if I remember rightly, it's quite a dark world. I also really struggled with this pathway as well. I didn't know what I wanted the pathway to be covered in, and then I thought, well, I'll just do it out of the same thing that the terrain sort of gives you, because you can't cover that up with anything else, which is quite annoying. Like I'd like to be able to repaint the sides, but you can't. They're just that colour or nothing, so that's a bit annoying. But anyway, yeah, I made the pathway a little bit slimmer. I wanted it to look kind of like dangerous. Like I didn't want it to have nice railings or anything like that. I just wanted it to look like a really like dangerous setting, somewhere where you wouldn't go. And I think I do change this fence because I went for something a bit bigger. I think I go for the vampire gate, because that looks stupid on that, because you could just hop over the fence. I was like thinking, why would you have that big gate but then like a really low wall that you could just hop over? So I changed that, and I smoothed this out a bit more. I think I did have a bit of a problem with them getting up and down there, so I had to go back over and make sure that that was okay. And like I said, I don't really... Oh, he was fine getting down there, that's alright. I don't really like do much landscaping. I just kind of use these like large trees and stuff like that. Stuff, again, that I don't really tend to use because I don't like to make gardens that are dead. So I use those, and then I put in like a little graveyard down here, which now I think about it doesn't really make sense because it's not big enough for a graveyard, but maybe, I don't know, maybe these are all his ancestors, and obviously because they're vampires and they've died in weird circumstances, he's put headstones there or something, I don't know. But anyway, this is coming up towards the end of the video now, and thank you very much for watching. Again, don't forget to go watch Kay Stray's version of this. I'm interested to see how she uses the spooky pack, and hit like and subscribe. And here those screenshots are coming up. Thank you very much. Bye.